And that's how I met my first love in Puerto Rico.
Really?
No.
Welcome to the Duality Gamecast, sponsored by Gladiator Games. Today's episode, a Battle Royale review of Puerto Rico.
Welcome to the Duality Gamecast. I'm Matt, lifelong gamer, and your host for today.
And I'm William, a game designer.
Today we're taking a look at Puerto Rico. This is a game originally published in 2002. It comes to us from Rio Grande Games, designed by Andreas Seyfarth. Classic Euro. Let's take a look.
So the goal of Puerto Rico is to earn the most victory points before the end of the game. The game ends when either all the colonists show up to your island, or all the victory points are used up, or somebody builds the maximum number of buildings they can on their part of Puerto Rico. Play is handled in turns. On each player's turn, they pick a role, and that role will assign a special ability for everybody to take or an action for everybody to take, and it gives them a bonus with that action. An example would be if you pick the role that gives you more colonists, everyone gets colonists, but the person who picks it gets an additional colonist to help fund their plantations. Along those lines, you're going to be building plantations, manning them, harvesting crops, and selling those crops either for money or for victory points. And the money, of course, you'll use to buy bigger and better buildings, which help facilitate a better exchange rate for crops or to generate better victory points. So Matt, what are your impressions about the mechanics?
So Puerto Rico is my definition of a thinky Euro game. A lot of people like to describe Euros as puzzles. This is definitely one of those. You are trying to manage your workers who activate your buildings and your plantations. You're trying to get your resources managed properly to generate gold, to improve your buildings, and to get those much coveted victory points. You're also trying to time your role selections perfectly to maximize the benefit to you, or to cut off somebody at the pass because you know they want that one that gets them the victory points or the gold or what have you. My understanding is some people think that they know the perfect play order to this game. They feel like this game has been solved. I'm not there yet. I still enjoy this game for the puzzly aspect. I definitely haven't solved it. Just a solid classic Euro.
Yeah, the thing is also with people who say they solved it, there's always a little bit of variance to it. There's always the plantations out, and those are different every time. So it isn't like you can say, well, if you're a third player, you always pick corn every turn to do the specific design. There might not be corn in one of the options you pick. Along the same lines, the whole picking role selections, there was a lot of times when we play this that I've looked at the person across from me and go, oh wow, next turn, he's going to harvest on his turn, he's going to get a ton of resources, and he's going to sell them. But right now, if I trade, he's going to lose everything because the ships are full of a certain resource and you can't mix those. And I'll pick an action and I'll just see someone just melt as they're like, oh my God, you crushed me, you crushed me. And at the same time, there's points where you feel like you make a play, you pick a role, and it benefits you a bunch, and you don't really see it hurting other people, but you just feel like it lifts you up and powers you up. There's also a neat mechanic in here that when a role isn't picked, because there's more roles than the number of players, you put a coin on it, money. And as you play more and more, and people keep passing that role nobody wants, eventually it gets to the point where someone's just like, I'll take this junky role that nobody wants just to get $5 so I can buy the building I want next turn.
And we see that carrying on into like Small World does that.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, take that in this game. There's a little bit of competitiveness, which that makes it, for me, some quote-unquote Euro games are just too passive. They feel like, four people playing separate games just happen to be at the same table. This game has some competitive edge to it and has the buildings, there's a scarcity with the buildings, which I really like. So buildings give you different actions or efficiencies, and there's not enough of those to go around for everybody. So that can impact your strategy if someone swoops up the ones that you really wanted, and then you got to adjust for that mid-game sometimes. So a lot going on in this one.
A lot going on. So how would you say all the mechanics affect the fun and replayability of it?
For me, this game is fun. I would say it hurts me to say, but maybe it's starting to be replaced. It's a very thinky game. If you have people in your group with analysis paralysis, this game could be a challenge. There's a lot of things to think about, a lot of planning to do. But it's fun, and we don't play it enough, in my opinion. We've played it a lot over the years, but we don't bring it back to the table very often. So that makes me think maybe it's getting replaced by more streamlined games with a little more punchy mechanics. But I enjoy it, and I'd be happy to play it again.
Yeah, I think the replayability is definitely there. Like we were saying earlier, you can claim to have figured out the system to beat it, but there's small amounts of variance which actually make a big difference in the actual outcome of the game. And I think some of the reason maybe why it isn't as replayable for us as it's been is because of the analysis paralysis. Because of, depending on which group you're playing with, if you have people who tend to get in that thing where they get to their turn and they're just sitting there thinking before they take their action. After you take your action, they have to think how they're going to react, because you never know what the person's going to pick. So you only have from the point that they pick their roll and the number of turns it gets to you before you can pick what you need to do, and then you have to wait again to see what the next guy does. I'm thinking that could be maybe in some game groups affecting its replayability because of the fact that it can turn from a hour and a half long game to a 3-hour game, depending on who you're playing with.
Yep, definitely.
All right, Matt, so how do you rate Puerto Rico?
Man, this was a tough decision. Once upon a time, I would have called this a love it. Specific to the 10th anniversary edition, I would have called it a must-buy. But like I was hinting at earlier, I kind of feel like this game's starting to get replaced. So I'm probably downgrading to a like it at this point. Enjoy playing it. It's not always top of my list, though. And I'm thinking of newer games, maybe like a Bruges or a Power Grid, that kind of scratch that Euro-y itch, victory point fighting itch, but do it newer. It's a like it for me.
Yeah, it's a like it for me now. It was definitely a must buy at one point. I think for both of us, this type of thing. This is one of the, when we first started getting into board gaming about 12 years ago. This is one of the first ones we played and kind of sparked it for us. One of our people brought it over. We played it. We loved it. I went out and bought it. We kept playing it. Kept loving it. 10th year anniversary came out. Matt played it. Bought it. We loved it. We've been going with it. But yeah, at this point, I wouldn't say that we've worn it out in terms of replayability, but it's just things have replaced it. Everything it does, and it does a lot of little things. But I see a lot of new games doing it. Yeah, I guess shinier or newer, for lack of a better term, actually. Yeah,
I like it.
Like it.
I hope this video helped you guys make your decision. If you have any comments, please leave them below. Come and visit us on Facebook, Duality Gamecast, and at Duality Gamecast on Twitter. And please subscribe to this channel. We would love your support. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
For more information on the Duality Gamecast or our sponsor, visit us on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the